Welcome, everybody. We're back here at the Pluto Cup. Some different faces on your screen, but nonetheless, all the action will be just as intense. I'm Beanies, joined alongside Belly, and we're going to be bringing you some matches in the later stages of our Pluto Cup, aka our community focus. Thank you to all our Get Good supporters out there and going through these matches later on, Belly. We're starting off here with our winners finals matchup.
The winners bracket finals, OllieBurn versus Clapture. We've already had a good run through this series. Um, having like checking out these players, we've got some very good contenders here, especially on the projectile DPS. We've got Toxic Flow for Clapture. Claptune, I apologize, and Royals for OllieBurn, both at like a high Masters rating, while the rest is approximately between Platinum and Diamond. So you've got these outliers, and is going to be primarily going to be looking at how to play around those players most of the time. But all in all, what it comes down to is that I just hope that all of these players have fun. Indeed, a very community-driven thing that we've got going on here. So just getting to play in this organized fashion for all of the supporters of Elo Hell. Like that's just what it primarily comes down to, I would say.
Exactly. And, we get an opportunity to see all these incredibly talented players performing, whether it's in our Get Good tournaments, whether it's in NA EU contenders. It's an opportunity for all these people to get a chance to have their own games casted, have their own games that really have that high intensity, lots on the line kind of feel. And many people don't get that kind of experience in your normal comp queue games in Overwatch. I think we all know all too well that comp games don't have the best teamwork involved in them. And so having these players get a chance to see what it's like in a very team focused environment with possible rewards on the line and that glory, it can really change how you play. And something I like to point out in matchups that have very diverse SR ratings is people often wonder, what's going to get the better of the team? Is it going to be people playing up to that higher ranking, or is it going to be people playing down to the lower ranking? And more often than not, I feel like the higher ranked players, the masters, the grandmaster players, will often elevate the lower ranking players to their level. And I think overall, everyone will just benefit from these matches.
It is absolutely like getting that control, and as you mentioned, like the playstyle that you get in your normal comp games is a bit hectic. It's a friendly way of putting it.
Very
Um,
friendly.
it's a very friendly way. And indeed, team play tends to be lacking a bit, especially at those platinum diamond ranks. So getting into this format, you've got pugs, for example. You can join pugs, which is going to be organized, but like you play a game, you play two games, and then like you're waiting for your next team again. Now you're playing a tournament in an organized fashion with essentially just a random team, but you're playing it in an organized way in a tournament form. Like you don't get that chance very often. Like there is here the Pluto Cup. You've got Get Good, which is a kind of that similar way if you sign up as a solo sign up, but it is going to be more organized in a tournament, and it's going to be only these control maps, which has Busan as the initial map to start out on. And getting these control maps, like it is always a joy to get to see these control maps where you get so much variety in every map that you get to see.
Yeah, and even I will say control is usually my favorite map type, and I think a lot of people feel similarly. And one of the things that really lends it to that is it's not as punishing with spawns and having to understand when you need to kill a fight and when you can keep going on with it. I mean, more often than not, control maps feel like they devolve into almost a deathmatch style of gameplay. And I honestly, it's an opportunity for people to really just flex their muscles. You don't have to worry about spawns, as I mentioned. You don't have to worry about getting the late spawn on a 2 CP push or an escort push or any of the like. It's, you lose the fight, you come back and you have 2 or 3 more go arounds before the round ends. And then to top it off, you have 2, possibly 3 rounds to enjoy these maps. So I'm going to say control map is the best mode out of any of the modes. You can fight me on that. You can at me on that if you want, but I think we'll see why in these best of threes consisting of all controls.
I mean, to each their own, naturally. That's gonna be a thing. But control map are very much indeed good maps to get to see. And indeed, Busan, first Sanctuary to come up. So already an interesting one to bring on out. You get a fair amount of opportunities on this map type.
Yep.
On this map specifically, it's very open. You can dive it, you can double shield it. There are a few options, and at the moment, I'm seeing on one side a more brawly type, and on the other side, a more divey type.
Yeah, and something that I like to point out on this map as well is how teams play around the point. Because interestingly enough, the objective on this map is very cluttered comparatively to a lot of other control maps. You have the bongo in the middle of the point, and then on top of that, you have 4 cylinders surrounding the point, and it all creates a lot of unique terrain that people can play around. And it lends itself to really helping out these shield compositions where the tanks really have a moment, specifically Reinhardt, to hide behind this bongo and recover his shield while still contesting the point.
Well, we've got a Widow for a Clapture at the very least, and it is going to be the dive coming in through. OllieBurn with a very a brawl, and I like this approach here on the high ground.
Yeah, so it's going to be, by the look of it, a lot of just trading back and forth. Chipset trying to just get some ulti charge down here, but Big Bomb actually going to find an elimination. Freyr also with a nice little kill there on the plush, and wow, at the drop of a hat, Clapture just wipes the fight here and wins the first push on Busan.
Absolutely, and a very good control. So this attack from a Clapture went really agreeable. OllieBurn is going to have to come up with a very good brawl to get this fight on back, but they are slowly starting to come up to the blade.
Yeah, and that blade is really going to be a big difference maker in a lot of these situations. I mean, having the blade, a lot of people like to think it's often a fight win, and it can be a fight win, but it also can be a beautiful baiting tool. And we might have to see what can happen with that as the fight devolves here. But it's going to be Toxic Flow actually picking up one, and that's Chipset following up with another alongside Ion. So yet again, Clapture just rolling the fights here. And so as we have to see what Chipset is going to look for here with that Winston. He's trying to set up and get some high ground. Now, he has been doing well on this Winston. He has that Primal Rage available. But, you got to wonder how much a Winston can really do on the map. It doesn't provide too much verticality to it. He doesn't have an opportunity to make that jump as effective as it could be. And so, when he's fighting on these level grounds, he does have that issue of dealing with Reinhardt's territory. But, I mean, Reinhardt isn't going to be doing too much here because Big Bomb actually gets an elimination and gets one. And with the Gorton Surge used in tandem, it's going to result in no direct eliminations off of that. But Royal's trying to salvage something for OllieBurn here. He's just trying to get that play to find any kind of value. Not going to get any off of that one ultimate. And Zach, who gets the elimination here as the Brigitte, is going to try and take down Royals. No, Royals does get the elimination there. And this long fight happening on the point is possibly going over to OllieBurn as they can get a few eliminations, but no, the DPS from Clapture is just too overpowering. Big Bomb and Toxic Flow, both of which winning out respective duels and solidifying this point take here for Clapture.
Toxic Flow getting a few extra late kills in there. Clapture bringing it on back. If Chipset indeed also has this Primal Rage, is going to be a big nuisance in the backline.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to try and just do what he can, as it feels like his team is already guaranteed a win because, fortunately enough for Chipset, like I said, the DPS are really just flexing their muscles here, and Big Bomb consistently creating disadvantages here where Clapture can win 6v5 fights, and we're seeing it happen here as Clapture take round 1 on Busan.
I mean, it's also one of those painful things when you get, when you're running into a dive as a brawl, if the dive manages to get appropriately into your back line and start breaking that apart, it's going to be very difficult to keep the brawl going. You need to either just be pure death ball, which is also indeed the question on whether you want to run that DPS wise, but then indeed play together so there's not really one single target that can be split off or focused on. So Clapture indeed coming up with the first map here. Going into downtown, this is where the long ranges really start coming on through. So Big Bam on the Widowmaker might be able to really get some good shots off. Though we've got Shevchenko on the Ash to try and just counter that ever so slightly. It's still a bit of a brawly style for OllieBurn. This time with the Sigma and the Reinhardt on the other side. Clapture also keeping with their dive preference.
And look at the comp picks here. We have Clapture with only one hit scan. You know, Tracer may be classified as a hit scan. That's up for debate. But on the other hand, Ollie's squad, they have 2 hit scans they're trying to deal with this Widow right now. They have Royals and Shevchenko on McCree and Ash, respectively. And Shevchenko actually does pick off the first elimination. They're taking down Freyr, does pay for it with his life ultimately, as Royals now has to take over the reins of DPS duty for the squad. And Toxic Flow is doing a great job at putting his money where his mouth is and trying to one-up his counterpart, as Royals does actually take down Zach as well. So this fight, OllieBurn and co are going to win out here and take control of the point for the first time in this series.
Well, this is indeed, as we mentioned early on, Royals and Toxic Flow are both like kind of the higher ranked players here. So if they are immediately countering each other, Toxic Flow is going to have a hard time really moving around freely. So the value for the Tracer really starts to dwindle at that point. There is a Pulse Bomb on the board for Toxic Flow, so that could be a good opening for Clapture if that manages to land. And he's looking for it right here in the backline.
Yet again, Shevchenko finds a support with that dynamite to start the fight. Shades of that first engagement here coming through once again, as Shevchenko does die early on. Yet again, feels like we're watching the same fight over again, except this time around, OllieBurn doesn't have to eliminate as many members as Clapture. They understand that they lost the fight, and they're going to have to retreat and reassess their situation.
That lay pick onto Big Bomb, that is going to cost you a fair chunk of time here. Clapture indeed having some trouble here now that they don't really have the free space, and OllieBurn is nicely set up on point. They've got that bunker going on, and Royals is keeping this very close eye on the back line. Toxic Flow really wants to hit this Pulse Bomb, but there's so much time now being burnt off the clock to just try and get that one opening pick that you need to take these engagements.
Yeah, Royals now going to have free reign on this backside here, not getting met with too much, as he does actually run into Toxic Flow's Tracer. 2 eliminations going to be picked up here on the side of Clapture as well, as they do end up winning this fight out eventually. Royals falling off the map to his own doing, push cap trying to keep the team in this by the looks of it, but Big Bomb on the point, got the dynamite acting, chipset with this Hammond just knocking everyone around, and Clapture are going to finally win their first fight here on City Center, but they did it at 89% of the point given up.
And even then, yes, that is where the flip comes on through. And indeed, we're now at last fight territory. So Clapture is gonna get some point percentage going, but OllieBurn will be coming up to 5 ultimates for this next fight. Clapture also has 4 of their own, especially this Sam Barrier, but you're gonna have to wait out what you want to be using it for. Primarily Code Eclipse's Gravitic Flux. Other than that, you're just gonna have to take the aggression at this point.
Belly, I think Caster Curse struck because Code Eclipse does fall very early on in this fight to a nice pulse bomb from Toxic Flow. Shevchenko's Bob is going to be doing what he can on the point to keep his team relevant, but I mean, Sapphira Blue is going to also pick up an elimination with the Coalescence. This entire fight, though, is happening on OllieBurn's side of the map, so even if they do end up winning this, they still have to move over to the point and contest it and take the point. So that's going to make this fight go longer and longer, and you have these stall tactics being thrown down as well, like Zach with the beat, the Bob coming in from Big Bomb, but all it takes from OllieBurn is one more fight win, and they can have this round secured. The Shatter, though, from Missy does in fact miss, so with Toxic Flow getting the elimination off of that awful miss right there, it's going to be left with OllieBurn's remaining members to try and salvage this fight here and win it out, because as the fight goes longer and longer, it's going to lead into the favor of Clapture. And so with Shevchenko taking down one and Missy taking down another, this could finally be OllieBurn's taking the point that they've been fighting over for so incredibly long.
So incredibly long, but OllieBurn seems to be clearing this one out again. It's just a few stragglers that need to be picked up. Clapture managed to get to a high percentage, 82%, but OllieBurn definitely in the favor, especially Sapphira Blue has the Coalescence up and ready, so this could be all said and done here for downtown.
Oh yeah, they don't even get to the point there, just barely missing out on Ion, touching it with his Winston. So now we have Busan sitting at a 1-1 tie here, and you know, those two maps looked very different from both these teams, specifically OllieBurn's. I mean, the day and night difference between Sanctuary and City Center cannot be understated for this team.
I mean, you also get a completely different style here. Like the dive is more difficult to pull off in downtown. There is less to hide behind between the approach and the point. Sure, you've got the high ground, but even that can be touched very easily. So seeing here a swap in mecha base is a very much logical. The very brawl heavy compositions. The Reinhardts are coming out to play for both teams. Royals now also on the Tracer as well. We've got Shevchenko for some big chunk damage on the other side. And Ashe and Genji paired up with a Reinhardt and a Sigma, interesting enough. Both sides also still running the Brigitte, but Saphira Blue is going to be able to AoE heal a bit more than Freya will. So there is that offensive potential.
Toxic Flow getting the first one, followed up by Chipset. Now, with the fight starting out early in the favor of Clapture, it's going to be hard for OllieBurn to come back, but Shevchenko on this Reaper is doing a great job starting it off with a 3-piece, hoping to find the elimination here onto the Tracer, and that is actually going to be Royals taking down Big Bomb as well, so it's going to be eventually OllieBurn taking control of this point here, and yet again starting off with a nice fight win.
OllieBurn indeed looking good. Royals clearing this fight on out. Clapture indeed wanting to take this brawl, but again, you've got the offensive potential with the Ana, but Royals with a good early pick there. The defensive potential is there with the Nano, but Saphira Blue, this AoE might just not be enough.
Yeah, that Pulse Bomb getting very close to finding an elimination there onto Zach, but Royals just barely missing out. And with Shevchenko, the Rat King here on the side, trying to just find an elimination where he can, going to go back with the team, no flank value to be found, and Missy trying to trade out here. The Shatter is thrown down by Chipset, but Missy is the one to strike first blood here. A nice charge taking down Toxic Flow, and then a Coalescence to follow suit. It'll be all that she wrote as OllieBurn wins this fight as well, eclipsing 50% on the point following this.
50% on the point, and very good control here also from OllieBurn. You get that opening pick. Saphira Blue uses the Coalescence, but other than that, not that much given up. Chipset has landed the Shatter, but that one did not get any value. Though both of these teams coming up to a whole bunch of ultimates, which is going to make this next fight potentially a very, very heavy one. So, indeed, a bit of a break here as seems to be some issue coming on through. What would be painful here if it's actually a disconnect? Because that means of all of these ultimates, you're going to be losing out one just purely for the disconnect, which is always unfortunate when that happens, but that's just one of those things that has the potential of occurring.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you gotta hope that it's not a disconnect of the likes, but nonetheless, there are a lot of ultimates on the table, as you said. I mean, taking a look at OllieBurn's alone, they have 3, almost 4 available when Shevchenko gets his, and Royals making that 5, excuse me. And on the other hand, we have 5 ultimates about to be ready here for the side of Claptune. And honestly, these kinds of fights, they always are so chaotic because people are just using their ultimates, and sometimes in that constant chaos of ultimate coming out and abilities being used, you might overstep your bounds a little too much. You might use a little too many of your cooldowns. As our pause is going to come back in here, Missy going to be sitting here with the Shatter. We'll have to see how these ultimates will be used. A Dragon Blade used in the middle of a Graviton Surge? Toxic Flow, you gotta wonder what you're doing hitting Q in that situation. Saphira Blue gonna find that elimination, and then the Shatter gets stunned out. So 2 ultimates already from both sides actually gonna be eliminated from this duel. And now with Bob being thrown out, a nice charge coming in, but then on the backside, Shevchenko sneaks in with the Death Blossom. And as we hit 90%, OllieBurn, they just have to stall. They just have to prevent any point being touched. And by all means, it looks like they're going to do just that. And OllieBurn, with a dominant round 3, are going to take Busan 2-1.
As indeed, Busan going over to OllieBurn. And a very good control play there. It seems indeed that the comfort is for that brawl style. And when they get the opportunity to really go for that style, it really plays into the hands of the team that we saw on the blue end of the spectrum. That seems to be where their strength comes from. So if there's any team that wants to take this fight off of OllieBurn, then they are going to have to find a way to break through the brawl that they're bringing to the table.
Yeah, and something I want to point out also is Shevchenko, someone that definitely in the first round, definitely was overshadowed by Big Braum on that Widowmaker. But then the latter two leading us onto City Center and then following suit on the Mecha base. Really, Shevchenko was stellar on the Reaper, on the Ash. I mean, we pointed out on City Center that Shevchenko had, I think, 2 or 3 straight opening fight picks onto a support specifically, which, I mean, when you start a fight eliminating a support, that cuts enormous amounts of healing and survivability off a team. And you could argue that that is the kind of elimination that wins a fight for a team. So going forward with OllieBurn, I mean, my eyes are all perched on the Shevchenko.
Oh, absolutely. Some very good plays from OllieBurn. The Royals, as I mentioned early on, would be an air code star player just based off of SR, but this was very well played from the team together, like playing to the strengths, playing to where they find their value. So Fear Blue also on the Moira, like getting those coalescences up very quickly. Coalescence is coming out through rapidly getting AoE healing, which for brawl type compositions is just that extra bit of strength that Freyr was having trouble with on their own approach with the Ana coming on through.
And so before we can head into our next matchup, which is going to be Oasis, we're going to have to head ourselves into a quick break. But when we come back, we have more Pluto Cup action coming your way, and hopefully a lot more opening frags from Shevchenko. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, everybody. We are here at the Pluto Cup. We had a little bit of an issue, but we got sorted out after map number 1. And map number 2 is about to go underway here, as Oasis will be the setting of our battle between OllieBurn and Clapture. I, Beanies, joined alongside Belly, have a lot of action coming your way on Oasis. And I believe University is going to be the first round map here. And Belly, we talked about how our last matchup, Busan, lends itself to very different compositions on the different maps round to round. Now, Oasis, a lot of that stays true here. So what would we expect to see on a map like University?
On most control maps, this seems to be ringing true, and this is where that variety comes in. We've seen before that OllieBurn very much prefers this brawl type play style. And once again, they are teasing it at the moment with the Ryan Zarya, and with the main Reaper there as well, some nice AoE healing with the Brig and the Moira. Royal's still not sure what's going to be coming out, but this brawl definitely in their favor. Clapture trying to mirror it. It hasn't worked on a mecha base before. Maybe University being a bit more open, where you have to be playing a bit more safely, might be where this changes on around. But they are now trying to mirror this, knowing that University is very much a brawl-heavy composition, or a brawl-heavy map. Toxic Flow on the Pharah, though, being able to rain some death from above could be problematic.
Yeah, that's definitely an issue you have to deal with, especially when Shevchenko and Royals are on a Reaper and May respectively. Not the type of heroes that traditionally are able to deal with a Pharah in the sky, as Toxic Flow will go down there at the hands of Royals, but you gotta remember that Mercy Pocket keeps Pharah in the fight even after that first elimination comes through. And then after that, I believe Clapture are going to wipe this fight here, take the first point, and just barely miss out on eliminating. Oh no, they do get Code Eclipser at the end. So nice little staggers coming in here from Clapture.
Oh, Royal still to the side, potentially also still getting taken out, trying to just, gonna make it out as safely as the recontest will be coming in, though without a Zarya, so not gonna be able to build one up, and there's still no swap to try and deal with the Pharah, so Toxic Flow can still rain death from above.
Oh yes, speaking of raining death from above, that barrage just turned online. He's going for it, the nice little ricochet into the crowd, finds one elimination, barely missing out on getting Royals there. A nice little cryo free is going to keep him alive at the end of that barrage. And Sapphire Blue with the Coalescence playing DPS role for the time being, as that is what exactly OllieBurn needed to move through this point and finally take control.
I mean, it's only the first next fight, so that is a very good retake, especially after the barrage already came through, which would have given Clapture a very nice advantage. But no, OllieBurn picks up that kill, takes it on back, invests a bit, and does this very well. Chipset, though, has a shatter. Missy managed to break that before, but losing Royals is massive. No more Blizzard available now.
Having that Blizzard was such a crucial win condition, and now they're going to have to go at it with only this Graviton Surge, and that's not even going to lead to a fight win necessarily, as trades coming in 2 for 2 being traded out here, and make that 2 for 4. Claptune off the back of Toxic Flow on this Pharah, able to retake the point here and hopefully move themselves ahead in percent.
4 kills for Toxic Flow, still no direct counter. Shevchenko is now going to be on the Soldier to just try and put a bit of pressure on the aerial hero. Ion will have a Graviton Surge, which now doesn't really have a counter from OllieBurn, though the Blizzard is still on board. Throwing that one straight on point could be very destructive.
Yeah, but look at Toxic Flow setting up with the barrage from the backside, and then pick up 1, 2, 3, looking for the 4th, and he can barely get that with the left click. Toxic Flow letting all the rockets flow through him right into his opponents. 65% taken, and all that off the back of one barrage.
You're gonna need someone to just get Toxic Flow out in the sky. This has been just a Pharah on a tear. You're not gonna need anything else if Toxic Flow just completely destroys your backline. Royals is finally gonna swap over to the McCree as well. He's gonna be re-engaged with the rally.
Yeah, now look at this Toxic Flow having absolute control in the sky. There's 2 hit scans on the side of OllieBurn, and they still can't stop Toxic Flow. 2 eliminations with the barrage after he gets rezzed as well. And I mean, 95% of the point control, but it's almost guaranteed that they're going to be shooting a shot in the dark here to try and just get some stagger eliminations, maybe recontest, but by all means, Clapture are going to be moving on 1-0.
This is indeed Clapture getting their victory in this in University. There's still 2 maps to go. You've got Gardens, you've got a potential 2 maps to go. You've got Gardens, you've got City Center. City Center, very open, very diveable, which Clapture initially was the fan of. Primarily, it's going to be a matter of getting Toxic Flow out of the sky. This Pharah has been on a rampage, just raining death from above. Clapture is going to keep that streak, going to attempt to keep that streak going. Now going for double shield, actually. Potentially coming on out, still having Toxic Flow in the air. On the other side now also teasing a Pharah to try and get that sky battle going between the 2 projectile DPS heroes. The OllieBurn is actually going to try to dive this, which could be a problem for Zach here on the Ana. Getting that healing on out, it could very much give some issues. Saphir Blue is going to have some more trouble getting the healing done, though. Is the Moira with the dive hero, that is not really the optimal choice.
Yeah, it's really pick your poison. I mean, as Shevchenko and Cold Eclipse actually do get 2 opening eliminations here, setting up a fight beautifully for OllieBurn to take control very quickly. But to your point, you know, it can be very difficult for people to excuse me now, it's just everyone getting stuck in a tiny little room there getting rained down by the Pharah. But it can be very difficult for teams to really weigh that kind of give and take between the Ana and the Moira. You know, to your point, the Ana provides that more stable healing on more spread out heroes. You know, that Winston, Diva, they're going to be jumping around the place. You need someone to get that healing to them. But you give up that safety. Whereas on the other hand, that Moira pick has the shift, has that fade that keeps her safe, but you need to get extremely close to your targets to provide that kind of healing to them. So we'll have to see which one really weighs the benefits more and which provides more at the end. And right now, Zach is looking like he's doing a lot of work.
Zach already nearly at the nano, so that's going to be potentially a very nice ultimate to start this fight on it.
Shevchenko, a nice little burn effect there. The dynamite gonna take down one, the shot in the dark, the alley-oop, you name it, he called it. And now with only Toxic Flow left to stand, he still manages to find 2 eliminations, even without a Mercy Pocket helping him out. A very rare sight in these situations. And honestly, with Saphira Blue, the last one standing, Clapture finally takes a point back just after it hits 52%.
Investing in Coalescence was a bit of a question mark, but this is indeed where you saw the Clapture Nano coming on through, getting that extra survivability, and that is going to give you a very nice fight. Though both Royals and Toxic Flow have got a barrage on a line, Missy also has the Primal Rage, and Code Eclipse has the Diva Bomb, so there are some good tools here to open up this fight. It's going to be important to play well.
Ooh, Royals trying to do his best Toxic Flow impersonation. Does in fact pick off 2 in tandem with Cold Eclipse using that Diva Bomb. It's going to be a nice start here for OllieBurn, and the point does actually go over to OllieBurn there. Toxic Flow trying to resolve any kind of problems that he can, but no, the problems are being thrown right in his face, and you got to deal with a gray screen now, my friend. And even with the res trying to come in on the backside, it's going to be OllieBurn controlling this point yet again, taking it to 70% and more.
That's a very angry monkey just kind of chilling on point.
Reevaluating his...
I do with a hand, though, to Toxic Flow getting a very good control to make sure that the res did not come through onto Royals, who is now swapped over to the McCree to just deny Toxic Flow that space, realizing that we're getting to that last fight territory. Also, going to be a swap from Toxic Flow to the Tracer. We got Shevchenko with the Bobs, so it's going to be dueling Bobs on the point.
Yeah, Bobs are going to be hopefully firing at each other, because you love to see those exchanges happening every now and then. Just 2 ultimates laying waste to one another, as Chipset actually does find the first elimination in this fight using that Primal Rage. So with Royals going down here, that's going to be 1 less DPS left here for OllieBurn to control the point. But Shevchenko picking up the reins right where we saw Royals leave them, picking off 1. But Big Baum on this Ashe trying to follow suit and make that Big Baum on the Ashe, successfully controlling the point here, and Clapture are able to take it back at the 11th hour.
Clapture once again with a 1-map lead, wanting to bring this home and get their first point on the board in this series. OllieBurn is gonna flip it around a bit more. Code Eclipse are gonna go over back to the Zarya. Missy gonna go back to the Reinhardt. Gonna actually try to brawl against this dive that Clapture has been bringing now. Zach has got a nano though, and OllieBurn has just reset essentially their full ultimate bank. So Clapture very much in a big advantage when it comes to ultimates. You're gonna just be able to get essentially a free fight with just this nano.
Yeah, I mean, that Nano Boost is such a deadly ultimate. If used properly, Royals, though, taking down Chipset, going to make it a lot harder to find any value off of that. Make that 2 eliminations coming from Royals on this Tracer. The nice work coming down. Oh, Royals gets a little too confident, does fall at his own hand, but it looks like OllieBurn are going to pick up the slack where Royals left it. Fantastic teamwork coming in here, and with only an Anna and a Bob controlling the point, it really feels like it's only a matter of time, unless these respawns are going to come in and we're going to see some stagger eliminations possibly come out. But no such luck as Saphira Blue uses the Coalescence to shore up any weaknesses. And we're going to go to a round 3 here in just a few moments as the stagger kills are going to come in. And Ollie is going to make a case for taking round number 3 yet again.
It's a bit of deja vu indeed from the first map as well, from Busan, where a Clapture started out very strong, but OllieBurn somehow manages to get their focus back and bring it back in their favor. Now going off to City Center, this is where the high ground and where this dive style can really come into its strengths. So this brawl is gonna have issues for OllieBurn, because you can just go all the way up into the air on the jump pad, high ground, on the pagoda in the middle. There is so much space where you can just rain death from above that this brawl is trying to take the frontal fight. Though Clapture also going to go for ball, not actually opting to go for this dive style. Though you have Toxic Flow on the Hanzo, so that one's going to be at the very least something on the high ground to have to deal with. Royals is going to be repping the Genji, getting those blades on in. This is after the Genji nerf that has come onto them.
Well, Missy on the point, just posturing. English was hard for me right there. Posturing alongside with his fellow Reinhardt, just trading left clicks, just swinging those hammers back and forth. No eliminations to be found yet, just a lot of damage being pumped out and ultimates being charged. But Missy overstepping just a little too much. Ion gonna make them pay for it with a nice elimination, and then Chipset is allowed free reign on this point. Once one of the Reinhardts goes down, the other one can do whatever they so please. And with that, Claptune is gonna get themselves a nice first fight win.
Clapture's gonna get the victory for that first fight, and with that also managing to build up a rally and a nano, so you potentially have already secured your next fight. A lot of other ultimates though all also coming up. You've got Missy coming up to the Shatter, a bit ahead from Chipset. The Sphere Blue also having this Coalescence. We've seen him do very well on this before, but not gonna be able to if you're dead.
Nope, no chance of that. A nice headshot coming out by Toxic Flow. Royals, though, and Missy trying to make up for lost members. We'll be finding 2 eliminations there. And with this Dragon Blade just turning on right now, it's going to be held in the back pocket of Royals, because by now, OllieBurn's already won the fight. And you know what? You love to see a deflect, even if it doesn't result in a direct elimination. He picked it up afterwards, made it look clean, and Royals and co. posturing on the point here, taking it for the first time in this round.
OllieBurn 40% given up, and this without even any ultimates invested. Clapture has invested their rally, but other than that, they are still also on a essentially full ultimate bank. But this is going to be opening up indeed with Grab.
Oh, the Graviton Surge alongside a Dragon Blade just misses the kill shot, deflecting the high noon, but that doesn't matter for Royals. He still picks up the elimination, and that was an incredibly quick fight win. And, you know, to their credit, Belly, only 2 ultimates used. They still have 4 left in the bank to keep this point control in their favor.
2 ultimates used. Clapture also used 2 ultimates from their perspective. So, and then losing the point, that is an investment that you don't really want to see. You do still have the nano, you can put that on your Reinhardt to really get a good opening and get some aggression going, but that's going to open you up to just get shattered as well.
Yeah, that was a Dragon Strike that separated the team, but the charge was poorly timed. The Shatter, the Death Blossom, the eliminations, they're all just falling one after another, and OllieBurn is really making sure that Clapture feels the burn this time around.
OllieBurn really trying to bring this one back home to just get a clear 2-0 victory to get to those grand finals. Royals taking a bit of a nap as Toxic Flow once again for this these last fights going over to the Tracer once more. Now the ultimate banks have mostly emptied, though Saphira Blue has the Coalescence. If they manage to stay alive here in the early fight, that could be them still getting one more fight, and that puts us dangerously close to that last for territory.
Exactly. They're going to be getting very close to that. You know what? I'm going to say it. They're in last fight territory as is. So if we don't see Clapture get themselves a fight win here, they are going down to the losers bracket, and it's going to be a tough fight to say the least. Even though the Coalescence does come out early on, Shevchenko and Toxic Flow, both DPS from respective teams, going to be trading out eliminations onto the other. But Shevchenko picked off the Reinhardt, and Missy still stands. Having your main tank is such a crucial difference in this fight. It's going to be up to the side of Clapture to really come back from this kind of deficit they have, and Big Baum doing a fantastic job at helping them make steps into that hopefully marathon-long comeback they have to make. And, well, by the looks of it, they are getting the positional advantage down as well, because Clapture has everyone from Ollie just caged in, looking to find a way out, and they just can't, except going back to their spawn. Clapture retaking this and giving us another chance to see if they can take this point.
What has been important, though, is OllieBurn has been very controlled in their ultimate usage. They still have everything on the board, so you can tell that there was good communication there, that they knew that they had lost this fight. Don't invest anything. We'll take it back next fight, because they've got all opportunity to do so. Clapture will have a nano. Big Bomb will be coming up to the Bob, and Ion is getting close to the Grav, but OllieBurn already has 3, 4, 5 ultimates coming in here for this next fight.
Wow, look at that. The Bob comes down after a nice kill going on to Missy. Hopefully going to see another Reinhardt get a little bit of time to shine, as Missy was controlling this fight. And Chipset now going to have to try and make up for lost members on his team, because when you lose your not only Brigitte, but your DPS and now your main tank, every single role is gasping for air, and none of them can find a way to the surface, because OllieBurn and co, they're just suffocating them. But the caged animal backed into a corner can find a way out, and Ion doing just that, using the Graviton Surge to hopefully make some damage, come out and take down Missy. But Ion can't do too much alone. He needs the support of his team, and the team does come through. Clapture, the respawns are coming in. The Coalescence is trying to save it from OllieBurn, but they just can't get the eliminations that Clapture is able to find, until somehow, like a rabbit out of a hat, we see 2 coming through, and then the Death Blossom is not able to pick up Ion. The bubble, the anti-grenade, all these cooldowns being used so well by Clapture to make sure that they stay alive and force a game 3.
That is indeed going to be a game 3. Clapture manages to just get this out in the end. I would say primarily you had Freyr on the high ground, as the Ana just being able to keep pumping out healing uncontested. Like, that is massive. Having this healing to come on through and keep coming on through, that is huge in these fights, and nobody being able to just get there to deny that space and deny that healing. That is where I would say the Clapture managed to get their victory, and this is once again where you see that high ground is strong. It is incredibly strong. So if you manage to use this to your advantage, which Clapture managed to do in the end after a couple of rough fights, that is where you then get your victory, which indeed, as you mentioned, brings us to the final map here to see who closes this out.
Yeah, and we'll be going into our next map very shortly. It should be Ilios, but we can't get to all that fun and action just yet. We're going to be going to a very, very short break, but when we come back, we will have that game number 3 in our winners finals, and don't go anywhere, because it's going to be a good one.
Academy, they lay down the shatter, let the bodies hit the floor. Uprising Academy at 95%.
Right now with Hydra building up to this Vera Barrage so quickly.
Oh,
and asking.
double kill in the back with the pulse bomb from the high ground. Aerial assault with that mine.
Impact, se escucha de abajo gritar campeón a Sky Foxes.
Holy cow.
And after 42 consecutive losses, the Shanghai Dragons get their first win.
8 teams enter this weekend.
Oh no, Reinhardt, what are you doing?
We've got a clip with minimal information. It's time to break it down. Speed, 25%. Go. Figure out what this man's SR is.
keep fighting till it's for sure lost.
Winnable! So you queue up for Overwatch Ranked, only to be greeted by this, which then leads to this, and oh no, Reinhardt, what are you doing? The solution? Elo Hell pickup games.
Hey, you know what? Just what you're doing.
Oh my god, it's huge! Oh, no! Kill! Let's go!
Open to players of all ranks and most platforms, Pugs give you the chance to experience competitive Overwatch as it was meant to be played. Competitively.
I need help.
I'm with you.
Shoot.
No way, dude.
Go. Let's go. Nice. Good call.
Players set their icons to indicate the role they want to play, then 2 captains pick their teammates and draft the most competitive teams they can. You can also take part in our pioneering learning event, Coached Pugs. To take part, join the Elo Hell Pickup Games Discord, and be sure to read the Pug Guide and FAQ. Good luck, have fun, and we'll see you in-game.
Welcome back, everybody. We're here from the Pluto Cup. Sorry, bumbling my words there. But nonetheless, we have Game 3 here of OllieBurn and Claptune's Best of 3 series. And I mean, I could try and give you a prediction about what I think this game's going to be, but it's easier if we just watch it because it's been so back and forth. I'm Beanies, joined alongside Belly. And Belly, we're going to be going here on the Ilios. And, you know, we've talked about how different these maps really lend themselves to different types of play. And as we load up here on the Ilios, I believe... Okay, this is the map where I'm always like, it's the other map. Because I have Well, I have Lighthouse, and then, or I have Well, I have Ruins, and then this is Lighthouse. Look, I answered my own question.
Hey.
That's subconscious knowledge.
Well, I mean, it is Lighthouse, which is, I feel like you get these styles of control maps where one is usually very open, one is usually very closed, and one is just kind of a mix between the two. And Lighthouse is the one where you get more opportunities to do different things. You can play around the point with a very bunker style. You can play outside of the point with, say, a more divey or have a brawl going aggressive, etc., etc. You can play up in the air. And it looks like both of these teams are at the very least wanting to brawl this one on out. Still figuring out which DPS are coming through, but Toxic Flow in this Pharah is honestly not really that surprising. He's been getting so much value for this aerial hero that Royals is also seemingly aware, so immediately is going to pull out the McCree, but I mean, that's already where the damage comes in.
Yeah, look at that. Toxic Flow yet again taking down Saphira Blue. I mean, I feel like we saw this aplenty on Oasis as Toxic Flow does go down there, the Royals. So we do see that there is the possibility to contest this Pharah. Royals able to land those shots. It's just so difficult to be able to do that consistently while a Pharah is getting healed up by a Mercy. And so that leads into the teamwork aspect of it, which unfortunately Plush Cap is going to fall at the hands of this Toxic Flow Pharah. And, you know, the fight's still contested over there on the point, but it feels very in control of the side of Clapture.
I think they're doing very well, but this is going to get taken out late here, and is honestly at this point you don't really want to keep contesting. You want to reset these late picks are coming on through. Oliver managed to pick up the point.
Yeah, wow, Royals getting 1-2, taking down both the Pharah and the Mercy. That is exactly what you want to see from your hit scan, taking down those demons in the sky. And with the point in control of OllieBurn here, actually, they're just really poised to take control of this map. I mean, looking at the top of your screens alone, we can look at how these ultimates are being spread out. You know, we have 2 available on each side, but Cody Clips on that Graviton Surge. If he can get that up before Ion is able to get his, that's going to be a quick and easy fight win here for the defense.
I mean, that was so unlikely. There were only 2 players left from OllieBurn, but they managed to turn it around. Indeed, the barrage, though, from Toxic Flow is already sneaking around the back, and you've just lost a fair blow, so no coalescence.
No coalescence available, but that Graviton Surge is up and it's being used. Unfortunately, it just turns on its head, and actually they lose one after using that, but with Missy and Shevchenko stabilizing this fight here, Toxic Flow is just trying to find anywhere he can get an elimination and not going to be finding any off of that. And with the point passing 50% here, OllieBurn sitting very pretty.
Toxic Flow was looking for the barrage, but just thought better of it, and honestly, probably a good idea because it wouldn't have been worth the trade. Now, Clapture has 4 ultimates at the ready, 5th one coming up. OllieBurn is a bit empty on gas when it comes to that, though if Missy manages to just land a good shatter, that could still be a very nice fight win.
Oh, the shatter is blocked beautifully, and then Missy returns fire. Anything you can do, I can do better, and OllieBurn is going to dominate this fight. Easy peasy.
Messi with some amazing Reiner plays, managing to get the beat on Chipset, who's now going to swap over to a more divey style. Big Bam also going to pull out the Tracer. Once again, Toxic Flow holding on to this barrage to try and get this late fight going in, which has the potential to still destroy everything.
I mean, that barrage comes out, and you're right, it can do a lot of damage, taking down 2 members, but then we see a beautiful boot by Ion, taking down Shevchenko, who was in the middle of a death blossom. That feels like it's going to be all she wrote here for this fight, as Clapture have found new life in this map, and they're able to flip the point in their control.
They with this dive, trying to get back to point faster. They have used whatever they honestly had, though. They will be having a Valkyrie still. So it's going to be the question of the approach for OllieBurn, because this dive is going to be capable of running amok in your backline, especially Shevchenko and Royals are going to have to try and stay safe. Blushcap and Sapphire Blue are going to be able to get out a bit more easily, so it's going to be primarily focusing on the DPS for this approach, but OllieBurn doing very well at keeping these close quarters.
Ooh, a nice high noon coming out there, but Toxic Flow, as he's getting dropped, throws out the concussive blast and eliminates 1 member. And then now, thanks to that beautiful play, Chipset and Ion are able to roll around free reign, taking down their opponents, and OllieBurn, which looked so good to start the fight, now lose every single member in that engagement. And the ultimate economy, the momentum, everything is just feeling on the side of Clapture.
There is still a bit to go, but absolutely Ultimate extremely in favor of the team in red, having 6 on the board, while OllieBurn at the moment only has a Coalescence, still trying to build up a few, but even losing these early picks is so detrimental for her team.
Yeah, I mean, those early picks really make it so difficult to even consider contesting a point, and Ion and Co are just staggering everyone from OllieBurn so much. It's 90% of the point belly, and there's going to be no chance for them to contest as a team, let alone even contest as one person. I mean, it just feels like Clapture just flipped this entire game on its head, and now they are going to win round 1 of Ilios.
Ion with a very beautiful play to just kind of casually go back to point, leave some mines to make sure that no one can quickly contest. That's a beautiful, just thought out play to just deny the space on the point, and Clapture indeed manages to get that one back from the brink of defeat, which means they're moving over to Ruins, where it already looks like those long-range characters are coming on through. The Widowmakers on both sides are getting teased early on, so I would indeed hope those two also get played.
Well, I mean, now with officially backs against the wall, with this being game 3 of the series, OllieBurn, they have to deal with this pressure that they haven't felt yet this entire series. I mean, with OllieBurn winning that first map, they were in the driver's seat for most of this best of 3, and now with this 1-to-1 scoreline and Clapture actually in the lead, OllieBurn, they really have to put the pedal to the metal now, and maybe Royals on this Widowmaker can cause enough damage to help them, but Toxic Flow's far has to be the first target of most of these, because that is really where most of this damage is coming in for Clapture.
That is already where the damage comes through, so with 2 picks, Clapture looking strong.
Yeah, look at that. Taking down 1, Big Bomb following up with another, and now look at that. DPS just taking control of this fight. Chipset may have gotten an elimination there on the backside, but really, it was all DPS all day right there. And Toxic Flow, 70% of the way to a barrage. That's how you know Afara is being effective, looking at that ultimate counter.
Shevchenko, interestingly enough, going over to the Genji, potentially to just try and deny some space for a Big Bomb, so that Royals can focus on Toxic Flow in the sky. But this is not an easy fight to take. Toxic Flow is doing very well on their positioning to make sure that it is not easy to just get a shot off on this Pharah.
Yeah, Toxic Flow, and you know, as you said, they're making it very difficult to get a shot on him. He takes down Shevchenko, and look at how well Toxic Flow is playing the terrain as well. That's one of the parts of being a Pharah player that you really need to practice, is understanding parts of the map and understanding what parts of the map you can really dance around to use as cover. And looking at how Toxic Flow is playing this out, it's incredibly difficult for OllieBurn to get an elimination on him already, but then you add into the fact how well he's playing around the terrain, it's just even more difficult, almost impossible with how few shots have been landed on him this map.
Once again, forcing another swap. Royals is going to be over to the McCree. Has worked before, but then even if you get Toxic Flow out of the fight, you still have to deal with the rest of the team. We're also already taking some chip damage, and Toxic Flow still has the barrage online. Chipset's also going to be able to boop some people around here with the Primal Rage.
Yeah, that Primal Rage is coming out right now. Going to be used, hopefully, to cause a little distraction and mayhem, as Toxic Flow is going to use that barrage, but he actually falls to his own hand. The rockets causing that AoE damage, and self-harm is going to take down one, and then Missy finding the other DPS left out alone is going to lead to yet another elimination here. And finally, OllieBurn feel like they have control of the point here, and they are going to flip it back to their side.
Now the swap also comes in from Toxic Flow away from the Pharah over to the Tracer. And now both of these teams going for a divey approach. Missy will be coming up to the Primal Rage. Royals as well with a High Noon. Though for the side of Clapture, Iron is going to be able to deny so much space with these mines. And now with Big Bomb as sides up as well, you know exactly where the approach is going to be coming from.
Oh, speaking of that approach right there, it's going right through the front door as we see the bombs being dropped there by Ion. Big Bomb actually going to be dropping one of his own, taking down Royals. And with Ion setting the bombs up on the point and this constant just knocking around of chaos, it's really difficult for OllieBurn to even make it back to the point to contest it. Ion with that ultimate and forcing that kind of aggression and really that worry, it's going to make mistakes happen, and Clapture, capitalizing on these mistakes over and over again, are going to have control of the point. And with 83% of the point left here, Belly, it's going to be all but staggers to try and get and contest it for OllieBurns.
Absolutely, though, one thing to keep in mind, Clapture used 4 ultimates to try and get this point back, allowing OllieBurn to also get a few of their rolls. Is also going to swap over indeed to the Tracer. Shevchenko is at the very least not going to be able to blade. Code Eclipse might be able to open this up with the Diva Bomb, and Flushcap has got a sound barrier to open to give some aggression.
Yeah, but that Diva Bomb doesn't connect and nobody gets to the point. Clapture going to win out here on Ilios and move themselves into our Pluto Cup Grand Finals.
Clapture indeed making it to the Grand Finals, but that doesn't mean that we won't be seeing OllieBurn, or we don't have a chance to see OllieBurn anymore, because this is a double elimination, so there is that to still keep in mind. But Clapture indeed managing to just, in the end, just come out ever so slightly more clutch. That was that very beautiful boop that came on through on the Death Blossom that could have been so destructive there on Lighthouse. But very well played by Clapture indeed. OllieBurn, unfortunately, just ever so slightly short of getting their own victory.
And, you know, I want to say, in addition to that fantastic boop there, that highlight intro by Hammond is probably the best one out there. You hear the music when he looks over, it's fantastic. But we just finished up our winners finals, and it was a barn burner to say the least, with Clapture winning out 2-1. Even though OllieBurn started out very strong, OllieBurn is going to have to fight for their tournament lives down in our losers finals, where Clapture is going to be sitting in that grand finals waiting to see who they're going to be meeting up in our matchup later on today.
Absolutely. And that is going to be the question. I'm not sure whether we've got a bracket somewhere at the very least. It does see that as going to be OllieBurn versus Toxic Slow. So that is something to keep in mind for this next one. So that's going to be an attempt to get back to the grand finals to see who has to bring it back up against Clapture, who's been looking strong. So either OllieBurn or a Toxic Slow is going to manage to bring that one on back.
Yep, and so now that we know who our loser final contestants are going to be, OllieBurn going to have to take on Toxic Slow, and that's going to be happening next after a short break. So don't go anywhere, because we'll be back with more Pluto Cup and the loser finals right after this.